The new Studio Display is the first monitor that Apple has launched since the Pro Display XDR released back in 2019. It takes what we have with that Pro model and gives us a ton of the same benefits in a smaller, much more affordable form factor. Now, I've had the pleasure of using the Studio Display for about 2 weeks now, and it's time to give you guys my honest take on it. Now, whether you're using this as a Windows user or a Mac user, there's a ton of goodies you get at this price point and a few things that I really don't think might fit well with your workflow. And I'll try to cover all those basis points in today's review for you guys. There's a ton of options out there, especially at even half this price point, so I want to make sure you guys don't make the wrong decision when you're picking up your next display, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the price. We kick off at $1,500, which for me definitely feels like a good deal when you compare it to the Pro Display XDR. Now, if you get the nano texture display like I have here, you're looking at an extra $300. And then, if you're looking for that height adjustable stand, you'll have to spend another $400, which kind of takes things back off into the deep end for me, especially seeing how some of the best 4K gaming monitors on the market include most of these goodies, if not more, for almost half the price. Its design overall does look fantastic in my opinion, and even some of your favorite displays in the market still don't offer something like a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with an insane speaker system and built-in microphone array, all powered by an A13 Bionic chip. With this monitor, you get a beautiful 27-inch 5K display with bezels at about a half-inch thick. Now, this thing looks absolutely fantastic no matter where you put it. I have two different setups with this. I have this one right here, and I have the other one that you guys saw in my previous video. And it looks so clean, so minimalist, and it is modular, as Apple said. You can fit this in pretty much any scenario out there, which makes a ton of sense for those that don't have the room for it. If you've got about 3 or 4 feet of extra space and you need a new setup, this might actually be perfect for you guys. It's just going to depend on your workflow, and I feel like if you're someone that kind of depends on something that's powerful and doesn't have the space for it, this might actually be a fantastic option for you guys, especially if you're in the Apple ecosystem. The display itself comes in at just under 14 pounds for its weight, and it packs the center stage camera right where you'd expect it. Around the back you have 3 USB Type-C ports and 1 Thunderbolt port along with the permanently attached power cable, which was a surprise for me in the unboxing, seeing how Apple went through all that trouble creating a new MagSafe port for its recent iMac release and didn't implement that technology here. The Thunderbolt port works with pretty much anything, even a Windows laptop while charging your device. But you can tell it being a new addition to the Apple ecosystem that it just works better with their products. Anything from an iPad to a Mac Studio work amazing with this new display. The screen looks gorgeous and the colors are super vibrant even at peak brightness, which overall is brighter than its bigger, more expensive counterpart. Peak brightness in the center is almost 100 nits brighter than a Pro Display XDR. That combined with a wide color gamut makes this a content creator's dream. Now, what kills the experience for me is you spend this much money on a beautiful display and then you get 60 Hz for the refresh rate. Now, some of you people might not notice the difference between 60 and 120, but it's pretty obvious if you actually look for it. I mean, if you're coming from an S22 Ultra, an iPad Pro, or the new iPhone even, you get ProMotion display with a higher refresh rate, which is much more relaxing on the eyes. You spend that much money on this beautiful display and you power it together with the M1 Ultra chip, which is Apple's most powerful chip ever introduced. And then you throw 60 Hz on there for the refresh rate. If I'm spending $2,000 on a display, I want something I can game on and something I can edit high FPS footage with. You're spending all this money anyway. I feel like this kind of throws the whole experience out the window for me. Since the unboxing experience I had when I first tested out these speakers, I can say again with confidence, it's been an awesome experience with these. I've used this as my primary editing device since the moment I turned it on, and I've been able to actually edit videos for the first time in my life without the need to wear any headphones. The sound fills up an entire room, and the bass has a nice punch to it as well. The speaker array also supports Dolby Atmos and spatial audio, which does work rather well seeing how Apple's spatial audio has been out for a while now. Next up we have the webcam, which from the first day looked absolutely amazing, along with the built-in microphone. Here, I'll play that clip, but then I want to make a point afterwards because my experience has changed over the past few weeks. Whoa, guys, this looks absolutely amazing right now. What is this what? There's no lag either. All right, so like I said, A13 Bionic chip powering this thing. We introduced a little bit of lighting here, and this looks like probably the best webcam that I have ever seen on any display, laptop, whatever it is. I mean, if I were to compare this to like a Sony a7 III or something like that, some people wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. All right, and here we are in the second recording of the Studio Display with the built-in microphone and the built-in webcam. It looks decent, like I said, but I feel like it's still trying to overcompensate and make me brighter than I need to be, especially when I have a massive dome light here and another light to my side. Microphone quality sounds decent, as you guys just heard in that first clip, but I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? I mean, for me, I feel like it still looks decent. It just doesn't look, it looks like it raised the softness on my face and made me glow a little bit more. As you guys can see on the jacket, it feels like that glow has been increased, as if I added a filter or something in Premiere. But I'm curious to know, let me know what you guys think of the camera quality, and let me know what you think of this built-in microphone quality on this studio display. But as time went on and I had multiple meetings over the past 2 weeks in different scenarios, I noticed that even with decent lighting, that image looked overexposed and grainy at times. Now, it's still a great camera, but I'd like to point out that since that first day, it never seemed to look the same, which is rather weird. Overall, I would still say this and what you get with the M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro are probably still the best built-in webcams out in today's market. Now, center stage is another great feature, but with most of my meetings, I am sitting down and looking at data. So for me, it's another feature that's nice to have, but won't always be used. It does make much more sense on an iPad, where you might be constantly moving around instead of sitting down in front of a display like this, but it's still nice to have nonetheless. Now, next up, let's talk about interface, because that's just as important. There isn't one. There's no volume button, there's no knob, there's no power button to turn this thing on and off. And I don't really mind it. Actually, I kind of prefer it this way. The only way it will power on is if it's plugged in and has a compatible device running the show. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an Apple product like I mentioned earlier. I used it with a wide variety of different devices and it worked great. Now, I'd assume to download firmware updates, you would have to have some sort of Apple device, but for now, I'm liking this a lot for those of us who use both Windows and Mac for our workflows. But let's take a step back and look at the grand scheme of things. When it comes to this display, you really only have one thing that's somewhat close, and it's the LG Ultrafine 5K, which came out a while back. It's a 27-inch 5K display with these same ports on the back, believe it or not. A Thunderbolt port and 3 USB Type-C ports. It has a detachable cable and a height adjustable stand for almost $500 cheaper than this display. It also has a built-in webcam and support for macOS, but then when you get into the 4K realm, the market is absolutely flooded with monitors. And I mean flooded. Now, I myself personally am in a unique position because I do a ton of content creation, streaming, gaming, filming. I do everything across the board. And for me, I feel much more productive using a 34-inch monitor over a 27-inch like this. And I feel like most content creators out there would agree with me. They'd actually choose a 34-inch over a 27. Now, if I had to choose, I'd be much happier with a 34-inch display that has 4K with a higher refresh rate that I could use for both gaming and content creation that would come in at half the price instead of spending $2,000 on this display. Competitive gaming is out of the question because I feel like even if it did have a higher refresh rate, 27 inches is just too big in my opinion. But if you're that student, engineer, or even photographer who doesn't need that space for more applications open at the same time on your screen, and you are part of that Apple ecosystem, then this is a fantastic display and I absolutely love it. But one thing I would like to reiterate, if you know for sure you're not going to have a ton of glare in your setup or wherever you're working, please do not spend the extra money on the nano textured version of this. Save that money, spend it elsewhere. Let me know what you think down below of the studio display and if you'd actually pick this thing up or prefer something else. I'm curious to know what you guys are currently rocking with, so let me know down below where you'll also find the links to everything that we covered in today's video. If you want to see more, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DetroitFury, and if you enjoy this content, please make sure you smash that like button for me, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, it really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for watching, I'll catch you guys in my next episode. Peace.